Donald Trump is that extraordinary character. When he took the presidency earlier this year, it was with all the theatrical flair of a man reborn, not as the trickster of 2016 who disrupted norms with impish glee, but as a Caesar-like figure, blooded, defiant, and crowned in grievance. And the image of Trump under the stars and stripes, post-assassination attempt, said it all, didn't it? He now wants the job. But what has he done with it? Well, very little that endures and much that baffles and a lot that annoys. As beginning with China, Trump's approach to Beijing has all the consistency of a weather vane in a hurricane. Since January, tariffs on Chinese imports have shifted no fewer than 5 times. I was astonished when I did the count. One might call this flexibility, or a more accurate term would be incoherence or incontinence. If this is strategy, it's a strategy of a man playing 3-dimensional chess on a board that keeps flipping over. Or it's a strategy of somebody who simply can't keep things together. Why? Because the political landscape has hardened. In 2016, Trump exploited a relatively calm international environment to lash out at NATO, NAFTA niceties. In 2025, that indulgence has vanished. The United States now faces real crisis, soaring debt, energy transition pains, and the collapse of the financial consensus forged after 2008. Trump's reindustrialization promises nonsense. It rings increasingly hollow. American manufacturing has declined as a share of GDP. China, meanwhile, is not only producing more, but producing smarter, dominating electric vehicles, AI, even lunar exploration. It's a bitter irony that as Tesla is overtaken by BYD, America turns inward to its populist instincts while the world races ahead. And what of Europe? Trump's disdain for NATO is not new, but it's now emboldened, with Finland and Sweden on board. NATO has more geography, but arguably less unity. Trump no longer pretends to value alliances. European leaders, even those who once tried to flatter him, now brace for tariffs, snubs, and the sort of transactional diplomacy that reduces historic friendships to trade deficits. Nowhere is this more visible than in Ireland, for example, once the quiet beneficiary of global ambiguity, American tech taxes, European subsidies, diplomatic good fortune. Ireland now finds itself caught in the middle. Trump has already threatened tariffs on Irish pharmaceuticals, lambasted its tax policies, hinted at disrupting the very economic model on which Dublin relies. The age of ambiguity for Ireland is over, and it's Trump who's closing the curtain. Domestically, the chaos is just as profound. Trump governs now as a man who expects enemies, not simply among elites, but among voters themselves. His warning to Americans that maybe their children will have 2 dolls instead of 30. I don't know how Prince Andrew would manage with that, but it's an astonishing rhetorical shift. He's moved from stoking fantasies of national greatness to preaching austerity and national realism and telling the working class to grin and bear it. His core legislative agenda, at best muddled, his promised tariffs have alarmed investors. His efforts to muscle the Fed into cutting interest rates have met with institutional resistance, and his debt strategy borders on dangerous. Threatening default by design, testing whether dollar diplomacy can withstand constitutional fragility. That isn't leadership, that's brinkmanship dressed up as bravado. And the essence of the problem is this: Trump now sees collapse not as a danger to be avoided, but as a tool to be wielded wherever he can place it. He accelerates disorder because he believes the system must be shattered before it can be reshaped. There isn't any other explanation. But unlike Roosevelt, he has no New Deal. Unlike Reagan, no morning in America. Unlike Caesar, no Pax Romana. He offers only disruption and very little else. So what has he achieved? No coherent trade policy, no industrial revival, a weakening of alliances, a worsening debt crisis, a federal government gripped by fear of his own commander-in-chief, no peace in the places where I'm going to bring peace in Gaza, peace in Ukraine. No, it's actually got worse in Gaza, and it's getting worse in Ukraine. Yet he remains potent because his symbolism resonates against elites, against decline, against the unbearable complexity of the modern world. And if Farage is trying to ape this, Farage will have to learn the lesson that within 4 years, the world will tire of this fantasy. The world will tire of Trump. Because somebody who simply smashes things and doesn't put them together again There is a word for that, isn't there? It's a child, it's a temper tantrum. He offers the comfort of a villain to blame and a promise to restore greatness, even as he demolishes the architecture that once sustained it, that once sustained America. In the end, the story of Donald Trump's second presidency may well be the story of a man with maximum theatre, minimum achievement, and major mess. A Caesar without an empire, presiding over a republic that cannot decide whether to restore itself or collapse with applause. And he's taking us all with him.